The Pittsburgh Penguins have not given up hope on this season as they try and make the playoffs, and a big win today will certainly help them against the New Jersey Devils. We'll touch on that game as well as the Bruins, Predators, and Canucks and Golden Knights. Guys, welcome into Puck Time here on WagerTalk TV. I am Andrew. I've got Carm and Prez with me to break down these games. It's also $2 Tuesday at wagertalk.com. Smoking Dave Koken with a best bet in the MLB. He'll get you guys started with a big play there. He's off to a great start to the MLB season. I'll bring in my co-host, Carmine Bianco. Carm, what's going on, brother? How are you? And what are your thoughts on Pitt and New Jersey?
Well, how I am is not happy, Andrew, the last 3-4 days, not just for me, like for everyone who I know, whether they're in the industry or outside of the industry, are saying, what the hell's going on in the NHL? There's some unbelievable results that you just don't get. Obviously, some of them last night as well, too. Saturday provided us with some. I have some analytic numbers I'm going to talk to you guys about on the show after the second game that we cover. But we want to get to this one, Andrew, first, because Pittsburgh went into New York last night and beat the New York Rangers. And I had the Rangers in regulation time. And I actually put in my write-up, the only way I think the Rangers can drop this game is if they come out completely flat. And they came out completely flat that first period. Just before the game, I don't know if there's I don't believe in this, Andrew, the jinxes on having presentations before a game and the team plays flat. What was it? Trumba or whatever gave a stick to Quick on his whatever it is, 25 years or whatever it was. He got a silver goalie stick. And you know what he did? As the game started, 20 seconds in, he also gave the puck away to Pittsburgh in the Rangers zone, and it turned into a goal. 20 seconds into the game, the Rangers were behind the 8-ball in that one. Pittsburgh wins that game. It was a game in which looking at Pittsburgh, because I have them under 86 points this year, under 85.5, that I had earmarked as an L for them, and they get a W. So I'm not happy about that one. But they're in New Jersey tonight. The Devils still believe they can make the playoffs. Well, this is a back-to-back for Pittsburgh, guys. The travel is minimal. It's through the tunnel into New Jersey to play tonight. Pittsburgh on back-to-backs, 8-3 this year in 11 situations in the second of a back-to-back, 5.27 average goals scored in those 11 games. You might want to look at the goalies for tonight's game as far as the Pittsburgh Penguins go, because Tristan Jarry was supposed to start last night. He was named as the starter, and then he stayed in the dressing room. He was sick. They won't tell you anything more than that. They had a backup emergency goalie dress who was ready to go in, but then they said that Jarry was in the dressing room in his uniform in case something happened to Nedeljkovic, who took the spot between the pipes, that Jarry would have come in, and then if something happened to Jarry, then the third emergency goalie comes in, who was Fernandez, and they showed a picture of him. The guy looked pretty scared with the equipment on as the emergency goalie. So Jarry is listed as being the starter tonight, not confirmed. So I would check that, because if he was ill last night, I don't know if there was a 24-hour bug, but who's to say he starts tonight? Could be Nedeljkovic on back-to-backs. And I would I favor New Jersey in this game anyways. I just think they still have some hope. They still think they can make the playoffs. They beat the Rangers they beat the Leafs in Toronto. Really good performance there. They beat the Islanders in New York. So they've proven they can win on the road, but then they throw in a dumpster fire of a game against the Buffalo Sabres last time out. Completely flat game for them. I'm going to look for them to bounce back and keep their playoff hopes alive in this one and beat the Pittsburgh Penguins at a minus 165 is the price right now. Prez, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, first off, thanks for having me, guys. I just want to say I had as bad a night as you could possibly have last night. I lost all my client plays, both my baseball, my NBA, and I was also on the Rangers in regulation. Pittsburgh came up with a whole 18 shots on the game. It was a disaster. Worse than that, Bitcoin then plummeted $4,000, and I chose a bad movie, and I won every single free pick I gave out. So that just can kill a human being's psyche. As far as this game goes, Carm, I'm with you, man. I like the New Jersey Devils at minus 160, 165. I like them in regulation here as well. You know, this New Jersey Devils team, this is going to be a scary team next year. Obviously, that has no relevance to tonight, but this is a team that just, you couldn't really find a solid goaltending this season, had a lot of injuries. But this is an up-and-coming team, and Pittsburgh is not. And I've been saying that Pittsburgh's a fade team moving forward for a long while now. And you look, they've won 3 of their last 4. Other than that, this team hasn't done anything. And interestingly enough, in a head-to-head environment, New Jersey owns this team. I mean, literally, like, okay, I'm not going to go there, owns this team. Not only have they won 7 games in a row, they haven't even been close. 5-2, 5-2, 5-1, 5-2, up 2-1 in overtime, 4-2, 6-1. Back-to-back situation here. Pittsburgh is not as good a team as New Jersey by any stretch. Tons of speed. This New York Rangers are not the world's quickest team. The New York Rangers in Pittsburgh, from a Pittsburgh perspective, matches up better than when Pittsburgh plays a team like the Oilers or the Devils or the Canucks, Vegas, Toronto Maple Leafs. Too old to keep pace with this New Jersey team. I think we see another 5-2, 5-3 game. I like the Devils here, minus 165, and I like them in regulation as well.
We're going with the too old theory again. We're not going to get into that one because Tampa Bay is not on the schedule tonight for us. But Andrew, I have a question for you because I know our live chat asks me this question all the time when we cover any New Jersey Devils game where they're playing at home. Is at the beginning of the season, we knew how profitable it was to bet against the New Jersey Devils money line in the first period. It was cashing at a good rate. The updated numbers, New Jersey's played 37 games at home. They've only had the lead at the end of the first period in 7 games. 14, they've been behind. 16, they've been tied after 1 period. Now, if you're taking the Pittsburgh plus a half a goal, you're cashing on you're playing at an angle that is cashed 30 of 37 times. If you're taking them just on the money line, and you're getting plus money on them, and you're cashing, and you're playing on an angle that is cashed as far as wins and losses go, 66% of the time. Would you even look at the first period in this game?
Carm, you've mentioned that throughout the season, and it's been very profitable. It's very weird how some teams just are better on the road or better at home. More overs on the road, more unders at home. It's just certain teams just seem to react in certain scenarios better than others. So it'd be hard to argue it. However, you mentioned, I know it's not too much travel, obviously, in this situation, going from, like you said, just down the road, pretty much down the bridge. But second half of back-to-back, I don't know if I'd want to look towards that. But at the same time, if you want to do it, I'd split the bet plus a half versus the money line. Half bet on each of them, and maybe you could make some money because the Jersey Devils have been notorious slow starters, and we've certainly seen that this season, especially at home. But as Prez mentioned, this Pittsburgh team not just struggling against the Devils, but just absolutely, not able to establish any type of offense themselves, struggling defensively, 7 straight losses for them against the Devils. But guys, if we look at this, from just a today perspective, right? If we're handicapping this game without looking at yesterday or a month ago or 2 months ago, the Penguins leapfrogged the Devils in the standings. I mean, this is to me kind of embarrassing, really, the teams right now that are fighting for a spot in the NHL in the Eastern Conference, because I don't think any of them deserve to make the playoffs. The Islanders don't, Pittsburgh doesn't, the Devils don't. I mean, the Red Wings have fallen off completely. Washington has a horrible goal differential, but at least they've been hot at the right time. But it's so great when at this point in the season here on PuckTime, we get the chance to discuss some of these games that are just so vital to the standings. And this game is so huge as far as, the chances for either team making the playoffs. I'm going to go with the classic back-to-back overs here, guys. I mean, New Jersey, to me, has been a team that, Prez mentioned it, I don't know what the hell they were waiting for to change up their goalie situation. Like, obviously, you guys, everybody knows I'm a Canadiens fan. They go and pick up Jake Allen. He's looked pretty good for them so far. They actually picked up 2 goalies, Kapanen as well, and he's looked pretty good for them. They picked up 2 goaltenders, so they pretty much swapped out the 2 goalies they had and changed their 2 goalies, and they've looked better in goal since that moment. But I still look at this Pittsburgh team. In 4 of their last 5 games, they've scored at least 3 goals. We're seeing over 3.5 to minus 115, 120 to the Devils team total. Over 2.5 to minus 135 for the Pittsburgh Penguins team total. And I do think that fatigue factor will be there for the Penguins after a pretty solid effort last night. I think we can get over 6.5, guys. I love that I'm not paying a premium to get this over. And as we mentioned at the start of the season, this Pittsburgh Penguins team is old, but as I keep on mentioning to everybody, it's not the older guys that have actually been bad for them. It's the young guys. Crosby just secured another point per game season. He has a single assist in at least 9 of his last 10 games. You can get a Crosby assist prop tonight at minus 125. I think if anybody wants to bet on the Pittsburgh Penguins, which I don't really advise, I agree with Prez and I think with Carm as well. But I would say if you want to bet any action tonight or ever on the Pittsburgh Penguins this season, you just have to bet their stars. It's very simple. They have 0 depth. So my play is the over 6.5 and Crosby assist at minus 125 here, guys.
Andrew, I like that play, and perfect segue for me because you mentioned Sid the Kid. 82 points on the season. It's an 82-game schedule, so he's guaranteed that this season will be another point per game season. His 19th season in the NHL where he has averaged at least a point a game. The list on that, there's only 2 names on that list, Wayne Gretzky and Sidney Crosby. Thought I'd mention that to you, Andrew, because you're a Sid the Kid fan. I know that.
When you drop the kid, at what age? Like, is he Sid the Kid in 20 years' time?
Daniel Negreanu was here playing a poker tournament, and they're still calling him Kid Poker at the age of, what is Negreanu, 39, 40, somewhere.
I can hear him talking right now. Oh, hey, Daniel.
Andrew. Yeah. Hey, Prez.
Sorry, Daniel was talking in my ear.
Since you want to talk, I'm going to give you a chance to talk here. I'm going to ask you a question before Andrew goes to the second game, which is Boston and Nashville. The Leafs last night win 6-4 against the Florida Panthers in a game in which soared well over the total. I was on the under, but I don't care. I care, but that's not what this is about. Prez, Marner was put, we talked about it yesterday, Andrew and I. Marner was put on the long-term injury reserve for the team. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. In the offseason, this is going to be unpopular with a lot of Leaf fans, and they're going to say, what is this guy talking about? I'm not even going to say that word. Or maybe he's onto something. If you look at the Leafs scoring, while Marner's been away, their secondary scoring is up, and it's not from the first line, second line. It's coming from the third and fourth. Look at the guys who scored other than Austin Matthews. Nick Robertson, Tyler Bertuzzi, David Kampf, and Matthew Nyes. Where are we here? And then Matthews into an empty netter. They're getting a lot of that type of scoring. Bertuzzi's kind of showing up. Guys from their third liners scoring, which begs the question. The Leafs have holes. We know the Leafs have holes on defense. Samsonov's proving to be a better goalie since they sent him down January 1st. But here's the question. If you could move Marner, Prez, to a team who will take that contract, which is a juicy contract, but he's a young player who's proven he can put points up on the screen. Would you trade him? Would you trade him to get assets like defensemen that you could use? Because the Leafs defense are going to be a question mark heading into the playoffs. Or do you need a forward in return?
So first off, there's a huge misconception out there about you don't get assets if you just let a player go. The Leafs don't need to necessarily trade Marner. when his contract expires, they can just shove him off to the side. You don't need to bring assets back. What you need is cap space. So when somebody disappears, you know, when you hold on to a guy and everyone's like, oh my God, you didn't get any assets for this guy. You got $11 million of cap space. Now you can go sign assets. So you don't actually have to trade him per se, but he does have a year left on his contract. And yeah, Carm, I have no problem. Like, let him go. Like, you know, the bottom line for me, and it's always been this way, if I could keep two of the three, Matthews, Nylander, and Marner, I'd keep Matthews and Nylander. Well, guess what? They're here to stay. We need a defenseman, a monster defenseman, an Adam Fox, a Seth Jones, Quinn Hughes. I mean, obviously none of those guys are going to be available. Maybe Seth Jones, but whatever. I'm good to let him go. But the thing is, Carm, this question's a little premature because when you say there might be upset Leaf fans in Leafland if they let him go, if the Leafs get kicked out of the playoffs in the first round, every Leaf fan is going to be like, let's overhaul this team. Let's try something new. Every Leaf fan would understand and recognize that it's time to let him go. If the Leafs make the Stanley Cup playoffs and lose in Game 7, you can't let him go. So it's a little bit premature, but conceptually, I'm totally good with Mitch Marner going away. Like, you just don't need... How many teams have Austin Matthews and Willie Nylander, two guys like that, in their starting lineup? Not many. So, you know, a third is like too much riches up front and too little back. So I'm totally good.
All right.
With them getting
You've
rid
used
of
up
him.
your words.
Oh, well,
Andrew,
I'm good with that too, dude, because I don't even need to discuss this shit.
Yeah.
I'm
Andrew,
checking
okay,
Bitcoin
anyways,
right now.
Andrew, let's do something that doesn't happen very often in Toronto. Let's get to a second round of games here. Boston and Nashville.
Carmine, the Buffalo Sabre fan, being funny.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Professional, Prez.
All right, let's jump into the Boston Bruins as they head out on a decent road trip here. 2 games on a southern road trip, minus 110 both ways against the Nashville Predators here. This Nashville team, they've looked great over the last few weeks here. Obviously, a couple bumps in the road recently, but still, this team's been performing at a very high level. And the Boston Bruins, well, they've certainly been shoring things up defensively, looking better and starting to play Boston Bruins hockey once again. But Prez, when a team goes on a massive winning streak and then that winning streak gets snapped, do you look to bet against them, or is this Preds team still hot? Are they still that same team? Are they still a team to bet on, or do the Boston Bruins come to town and play spoiler here? What do you think? Well,
speaking of hot, if you guys want to Google Roman Yossi's wife, just throwing that out there. Man, this is a really tough game to handicap, Andrew. I, honest to God, from a side perspective, I'm going to stay away from this game. This Nashville team, I don't think I've played on or against them all year. And I very rarely play on or against the Boston Bruins team. Both teams this season has surprised me. I did not expect Nashville to even be in the playoffs, and they are firmly in the playoffs right now. And I thought Boston was going to have a huge regression. Shout out to Boston's head office because, I mean, it's 20 years now. This team is just consistently really good. I'm going to look to play the under in this game, Andrew. Boston, as you said, are playing much better defensively. They've gone under 2 in a row. Nashville has put up some goals. Their last 2 games, 11 goals and 12 goals. The game before that, 9 goals. You know, the only way I can see, I hate this game. Like, honestly, guys, it's under is the only lean I have, but I'm not going anywhere near this game. I'm just going to move on. I'm going to go Google Roman Yossi's wife.
Well, you know, I've been finding lately in the NHL, and it's obviously no secret, it's not been a great year for me at all. But I've been finding this year that right now at this point, you know, some of the big games, right, like the minus 110 each way, East versus West, These are the games that I might not be involved in. Like my clients might start seeing more games, more bets given out with teams that aren't in the postseason than teams that are. Because those teams that are in the postseason, it's like anything can happen any given night. You know, I think I sometimes have a better read on some of these teams that are out of contention, because you can kind of tell which teams are still moving forward, which teams, like the Ottawa Senators, they're the world's best team at playing games that don't mean anything. You know, I said it on WagerTalk today last week. You know, some teams, they start playing their best hockey when they're announced out of the playoffs, right?
Buffalo's pretty good at that.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, and that's the thing, is that we don't always have to bet these games, but I will say this, I'll keep it short and simple. But I'll throw it before I throw it back to Carmine here. I really do like the under in this game. I like the way the Bruins have been playing defensively. They've gotten back to their style of hockey here. And depending on, you know, whether they're playing a top tier team, whether it's the East or the West, or they're playing a bottom feeding team, they're playing the same style of hockey. And as Prez pointed out, management, you know, putting this team together, if you go up and down the roster of the Boston Bruins right now, you're not really going to be that impressed. You'll look at some names that the casual hockey fan might not even recognize, but they've been able to buy into the system come playoff time now, and they're starting to win games the same way they won games during their massive winning streak and massive season they had last year. Over the month of March, we had the Boston Bruins that were the sixth best as far as expected goals allowed. Taking a look at the Nashville Predators, they're right there with them as far as their defensive play. I understand a lot of the gains for Nashville did go over the total during their big winning streak, but I think that kicking off this road trip for the Boston Bruins is a big one for them here. Going into Nashville, I think we see an absolute goaltender battle, a defensive game here on a Tuesday night. And I'm going to go under 6, minus 120. There are 5.5s out there, guys. If you want the 6, make sure you shop around. Carm, what do you think about this one?
All right, Andrew, this again, I'm the guy who picks the games, puts them on the schedule for us to discuss, and this is one I picked just because I thought it's of interest because they're both playoff bound teams, both teams looking for positioning. You look at Nashville, so back-to-back losses, both on the road. It was only a 2-game road trip, but it was the exact road trip that the New York Rangers just took. And I don't want to compare teams, but the Rangers went in, played in Arizona, played in Colorado, came home, and then came out absolutely flat against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Does that happen tonight against the Boston Bruins? Because you know, they lose 8-4 in Arizona, they lose 7-4, 15 goals they allowed in those 2 games. That's not the way Nashville's been playing of late. But when they had an 18-game point run, 16-0-2, going into that game in Arizona that they lost, and you know, and then I mentioned that when a team has a big streak that ends, you can pretty much look at and try and double up on them losing the next game. And of course, it was against Colorado, who were riding a small 2-game losing streak at home. So it wasn't a big stretch, but Colorado got the win. Now they return home to face the Bruins. Bruins in the first period this year have been money if you're betting them on the road. The Bruins, 18, 6, and 13. 18 wins, 6 losses, 13 pushes. So basically 31 out of 37 times, if you bet on the Bruins money line in the first period, you've either won or pushed your bet. I'm going with the Bruins, minus 110 in Nashville. And if Nashville comes out flat like the Rangers did, the Bruins will cash that ticket in the first period.
Carm, you've been the man with the stats lately, the trends, the stats, and I got to give you some credit. You called the overtime yesterday in the Philly and New York Islanders game. We almost had the play drawn up properly. I had Philadelphia, you had the OT. We needed Philly to win in overtime for a great night and the best bets for both of us. But hey, it happens. You had a great winner there. I think Prez has called some overtimes on the show as well. And as we get closer to the playoffs and in the playoffs, we'll be looking to bet more of those draw plays and different types of bets like that. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, please do us a favor, hit the like button on this video, subscribe to WagerTalk TV, And we are on so many platforms right now. YouTube Shorts Live. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Reels. You can find us all over the place. WagerTalk TV. That's the name. You can find us all over the social map. WagerTalk TV. All right, guys, let's move on to game number 3. We'll keep things going here.
Drew, can I just jump in a second here?
Yeah.
Before we
Sorry,
get to
brother.
this?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. I slacked you late on that one. Let me jump in just for a second before we get to the third game and then the best bets. Is, the results. If you guys look at, like, Saturday was, and I said this to Prez last night as well too, when we're both fuming about the Rangers game. There's some anomalies that are happening right now in the NHL. We don't know whether we always want to say this team doesn't care anymore or this team is tanking. But you see some results, and you wonder, how did this team lose these games? And you have to sometimes surround yourself with analytics. If you're not watching the games, you have to. If you're watching the games, you can do both analytics and sort of the eye test. And the Rangers looked flat, but you look at some of the results. So I'll touch on one from yesterday, and then I'm going to go through 3 more real quickly. Last night, Colorado, 4.38 expected goals, 18 high danger chances, 46 shots on goal, to Columbus's 2.9, only 9 high danger chances, only 25 shots on goal. Final score 4-1 Columbus. Chicago beats Philadelphia 5-1. XG numbers in that one, 326 to 201 for Philadelphia. High danger chances 14-8 Philadelphia. Shots on goal 31-24. Shots on goal is something that's misleading at times. So, but I'm including those anyway. 5-1 for Chicago. Another team that is at minus 200 favorite goes down. St. Louis and San Jose. 278 to 2.78 to 2.9, 12-5 high danger chances, 35-20 shots on goal. San Jose gets only their 6th win on the road, shuts out St. Louis in St. Louis 4-0. Makes absolutely no sense. A minus 275 favorite crashes and burns. Winnipeg and Ottawa, final one. 3.32 to 2.8 high danger chances, 12-7 high danger chances. The other one was XG. 30-27 shots on goal. Winnipeg loses again. Ottawa wins again. Another minus 200 or higher favorite. Just because they're minus 200 doesn't mean they're going to win. I don't know if either one of you guys wants to interject on this. We're just seeing some teams right now that are playoff bound, still positioning for a spot, but we always think they want to finish second. They want to finish first. Tampa Bay proved the last 3 years, and during their cup runs, they didn't need to win the President's Trophy. They had a team that was built to win on the road in the playoffs. And by the time the final month of the season came, John Cooper and his team were in the playoffs. He managed minutes for his stars to make sure they were fresh and ready to go for the playoffs. They couldn't do that this year, and they've gone on a good run in this last month because they weren't guaranteed a playoff spot. But there's some teams, guys, that are just you see some of these results and you're like, how did this team lose? And everyone just wants to say Colorado's trash. I can't believe they lost. Well, Colorado's had the second best record in the league. They're going to lose some games, but unfortunately, you don't want it to happen when we bet on them. So that's my little vent on analytics and the eye test, Andrew. I'm not sure if you want to jump in on that, or we'll just move on to the Vegas Golden Knights and Vancouver Canucks.
What I'll say to that, Carm, is that it kind of reminds me of the people that were disrespecting the 50 goal season, the big season that Zach Hyman had, right? So every team needs someone that's going to be able to score greasy goals, and I'm not saying that some of it, like most of his goals are greasy. I'm saying that scoring goals in the dirty areas, the goals that don't make the highlights every night, but just those types of goals, right? And those are the types of goals that don't show up on the analytical charts. Those are the types of goals that you don't hear about as much, right? But I think that what you're saying there and what that tells me, some of these teams, if it's one of those nights where the goalie is saving every shot where you try and go top corner, or you just can't score on a breakaway, you need those guys that can score those chippy goals. And you really see that come playoff time. There's always those unsung heroes like on the third line that just step up every year, Carmen. And when you're looking over those numbers, to me, I think about, Edmonton, look at the players they added at the trade deadline. Sam Carrick and Adam Henrique and a couple guys like that. And people are probably scratching their heads saying, what the hell are they doing adding guys like that? Because they don't need skill. They don't need regular raw talent that, McDavid and Draisaitl have. Not that many people have that talent, but they need kind of the scrappy guys. So I feel like that's an underrated part of handicapping hockey, looking at those types of players, especially when it comes down to the playoffs. So that's what I took out of what you said there, Carm, how important it is to have those guys that can score those crappy goals that might not show up on the analytics. What do you think about that?
And by the way, Andrew, and I agree. This is where the eye test comes in sometimes, because you don't see those scrappy goals. You don't see a guy like, who's the player that you had? Is it McMichael from Washington? You don't see the play he makes behind the net, where he kind of deked the goalie from behind the net and then stuffs it short side, a wraparound goal for him type of thing. Those aren't pretty, but they count, and they add to the sort of the analytics of the game. By the way, if you took parlay, 14 parlay on Saturday with the 4 highest underdogs on the NHL card, they all hit, and it paid almost 85 to 1. So $100 would have paid like 8,500. That's a nice little vacation somewhere for you guys if you hit that one. Congratulations. But let's get to Vancouver and Vegas.
Let's do it, and let's bring Prez back into the picture here. We've got 2 teams right now playing some good defensive hockey. Western Conference here. Prez, Canucks, and Knights. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
I do, Andrew, and let me just start by saying that, man, I wouldn't want to play Vegas in the first round. This team is absolutely loaded up. I was not a fan of how they were playing about a month ago, but trade deadline, they added a ton of players. Now, they are missing some guys tonight, as Aiden Hill's not going to be playing in goal, but nor is Demko. Hurdle and Stone are out. With all that said, I like Vegas here. The only thing that worries me is that they're on that first game back from a long road trip, and that never bodes well normally for a team. Vancouver has just played outstanding all year, and they are coming off of a 3-2 win against Anaheim, which is nothing to write home about. The bottom line here is I think Vegas is a better team than Vancouver. I think Vancouver has really performed. I mean, Rick Tocchet deserves Coach of the Year. I can't see anyone else win Coach of the Year other than him. This team has overperformed from start to finish. Edmonton is right behind them for the division. It's an important game for both teams, but I would rather take the team that I think is the better team at home at a really short number. I like Vegas here, -130.
All right, Prez looking towards the Golden Knights at T-Mobile Arena tonight in Las Vegas. Yeah, this Vegas team, as much as I don't like the whole LTIR stuff, they are the exact example of what Carmine was talking about, of just, resting up, get yourself into the playoffs and do your damage once you get there. In my opinion, I think the team should be chomping at the bit to take down this Vancouver Canucks team in the first round. It's no disrespect towards them, but I've been saying it for a while here, Carm. Teams have to go through it. You can't be so bad one year, get great the next year, and then all of a sudden go on a big run. It's just, there's going to be a time where teams, Dallas to me is kind of the team in the West where I feel like they've been through the ringer. They've gone through hell and back the past few years. They, I think, are on a good course to maybe make a deep run. We saw Colorado struggle for a few years in a row, and then they made their run. So I do think that, some teams have to go through it. But for me overall, guys, it's the shooting percentage. The Vancouver Canucks were at the top of the league in shooting percentage and goals saved above expected for the entire season. And ever since that started to expire and started to slow down a little bit, we started to see more unders. And I know when Thatcher Demko got injured and went out, there were a couple more overs, but still they've been settling in. This team's playing more defensively, and they've realized they can't just win every game by scoring 4 or 5 goals. They have to buy in. Right now, Vegas is playing the same way. Their defensemen are playing so strong. every defenseman is like 6'2", like 220 pounds on this team.
Crazy.
They're really hard to score against. Great goaltending. Another under for me here tonight, guys. I like the under in this one. Hoping for a good defensive battle. One of the last games of the night. I'm going to take the under in a Western Conference duel between the Knights and the Canucks. What about you, Mr. Carm? You on the side or total here?
I'm on the side in this one. I think the last game we discussed yesterday was the Toronto Florida game, and pretty sure on the show I said take the Leafs plus 110 as a dog at home. Now Vancouver's a dog. They're not at home, but they are plus 110, and I'm going to take them tonight. So I'm going to disagree with Prez on this one. DeSmith finally got a breather because they didn't start him against Anaheim, a game in which they win that game 3-2. They're playing well, and I get it. Even with Demko out, they're playing well. Vegas off a road trip. We have to flash back to early last month. Vegas goes on a road trip, and they played in Columbus, in Boston. I think it was a 4-game road trip on the East Coast. Come back home. Who's waiting for them? The Vancouver Canucks. Final score 3-1 Canucks in that one. Who's waiting for them this time around off that road trip? The Vancouver Canucks. I'm going to look for them to double up. The team has speed. If Vegas off this road trip is in any way flat at all or slow in that first period to get it going, the Canucks are going to get that lead. And they're a very tough team to beat when they have the lead, the Canucks. So give me the plus 110 on Vancouver.
Closed it out with a dog yesterday, Carm. Looking to do the exact same thing here today. Hey, it doesn't matter if it's a short dog or a big dog. We like all dogs the same. And hopefully the Canucks can get it done for you. But I'm on the under, so you guys can battle it out. I'm just hoping for a defensive game, and hopefully we get a good one. Hopefully we get a good one between these two teams. Carm, I'll throw it right back to you for your best bet for tonight and what you have going. And I'll remind everybody at home that combo pack, that BOGO special is still available for Carmine and myself. And let's be honest, the sooner you buy it, the more games you get. It's kind of running out here, Carm, as far as the big savings. So the quicker people buy it, the better off they are.
Yeah, and Andrew, I'm always, if this show provides me with the opportunity to be as transparent as you can get. And, I talked about 2023, the start of the first half of the NHL season. Unimpressive, to say the least. I didn't like it. From January 1st on, after the All-Star break, things have been going well. But the last couple of days, these dogs that I mentioned have taken a bite out of some of the profits from January 1st on. But I just think it's an anomaly, a 3 or 4 day thing with some of these games. And we're going to pick it up. We're going to pick it up, and we're going to have a very good playoffs, I am certain. Now, getting back to this one, when we talk about anomalies, the Anaheim Ducks come to mind. They're not an anomaly. What they're doing is they are losing with class, Andrew. I know this is not going to make sense to a lot of you guys, but the game in Vancouver, they played them tight, but they lose 6-1 to Edmonton. They were never in that game. They lose to the Kraken, back to back in Seattle, 4-2, 4-0. They are losing games, and hopefully Chicago will win a couple games so Anaheim can slip into those one of those bottom 3 spots and get that first pick overall. I would love to see them get the number 1 pick overall. But as far as tonight goes, I'm taking Calgary off that win, another team that is underperforming and has done so all year long. But I'm taking the puck line. I'm going to get some plus money out of this. I'm going to take Calgary minus 1.5, plus 110, and I'm going to look for Anaheim to lose gracefully tonight by like a 4-1 scoreline. How does that sound for you guys? Thanks for tuning in, guys, and best of luck with your plays. Prez, give us a show best bet.
You got it, brother. I don't understand the Anaheim Ducks logo. Maybe it's their footprint. I don't know. I mean,
yes.
So stupid. Calgary, though, has dominated this team. Won 8 of 10 against Anaheim, and most of them, by a lot. I like that pick, Carr. My pick tonight, my show best bet, New Jersey Devils. I take them in regulation, guys. I think they're going to win this game handily, as they have beat Pittsburgh handily all year. I mean, at least for the last 3 years, it's just been constant beatdown of this Penguins team. I have 4% money line bet in NHL tonight for my clients that you guys definitely want to check out. I'm 63% on the season in NHL money line bets. I actually have 2 going tonight, so please take a look at that. Also, make sure to watch Wager Talk today at 12 Eastern. Steve Merrill, Andy Lang, and Dave Sherapan. Guys, thanks so much for having me. I have to say goodbye. I got 19 minutes to get shit done before my show begins. We will see you later.
Good stuff, Prez. Best of luck tonight to you. And of course, best of luck to Carmine. Guys, get both their plays over at wagertalk.com. For myself, best bet in the NHL tonight, best bet in the MLB tonight. Really looking forward to the MLB slate, though. A few plays in MLB. Probably the biggest card I've had so far in the majors since the season began. On a 6-2 MLB run and a long-term plus 40 unit totals run on the diamond. My best bet for the show, we already spoke about this game. I'm going to go with the under 6 Boston Bruins, Nashville Predators here. -120 is the price tag. We have seen 5 of the last 6 games for the Boston Bruins go under the total on the road, and 5 of the last 7 versus the Nashville Predators have gone under the total. 2 great goaltenders in this matchup, 2 teams that certainly know how to play a physical, old school defensive style of hockey. And that's what I'll look for tonight with the Bruins and Predators under 6 at -120. Great stuff on the show. It is an awesome slate of games here in the NHL tonight. Wishing you guys all the best of luck. On behalf of the great crew here at Wager Talk, I'm Andrew. We'll see you next time here on Puck Time.